13 Love, Knowledge, Wisdom, Respect. This is your creation. And today we're looking up the ancient Egyptian conception of the soul, which will be interesting because it's going to tie in with what I've been studying in the Bible for a while now with root words. And we're going to kind of just explore each one and just leave it as different videos. So we will start off with the ancient Egyptians believed that a soul, a ka or a ba, was made up of many parts. In addition to these components of the soul or spirit, there was the human body, called the H, occasionally a plural hu, meaning approximately some of the bodily parts. According to Egyptian creation myths, the god Atum created the world out of chaos. Atum, Adam, utilizing his own magic because the earth was created with magic. Egyptians believed that the world was imbued with magic, and so was every living thing upon it. When humans were created, that magic took the form of the soul or spirit, an eternal force which resided in and with every human. The concept of the soul or spirit and the parts which encompass it has varied from the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom. That's a key thing there. What was the Old Kingdom? And when did the New Kingdom kick in? You can do research on that, but there's a lot of gaps in between. At times changing from one dynasty to another, from 5 parts to more. Most ancient Egyptian uh, funeral texts reference numerous parts of the spirit or of the soul, which again ties into the Bible, right? That we are different parts of the body, right? So we have and I'm going to say these wrong because I don't know how to say these correctly, but we got the Khet, or the physical body, the Sa, or the spiritual body, Rin, which is a name or identity, the Ba, which is personality, the Ka, which is double or the vital essence, the Ib, which is the heart, the Shuyat, the shadow, and the Sikkim, which is power or form, or the ethers. Like when it talks about magic, we're talking about the ethers. Collectively, these spirits of the dead person were called the Uk, after that person had successfully completed its transition to the afterlife, or the spiritual realm. Let's see, the Egyptians believed that the human personality had many facades, or personas, a concept that was probably developed early in the Old Kingdom. In life, the person was a complete entity, but if he had led a virtuous life, he could also have access to multiplicity of forms that could be used in the next world, aka the multiverse. So you can exist on many different planes at the same time. In some instances, these forms could be employed to help those whom the deceased wished to support, or alternatively, to take revenge on. Which gets into some interesting things of like, when you're living your life, how are you expressing yourself, right? Are you living a balanced life full of love, honesty, care about others, care about yourself, and have that kind of balanced state? Or do you live by vengeance, right? You're always having that mindset of I'm better than somebody, I gotta prove myself, things of that nature, right? These things develop your persona, and these things develop your spirit, your essence, and it manifests itself in more ways than just the physical realm. So you got to think of like, if you were to move on to the next life and you have those energies with you, different life forms with you within that soul matrix, what is going to be that next experience, right? And this really allows you to really think of think of your life now. Say if you passed away tomorrow, um, how would you view your soul, your spirit, right? goes into some very different interesting things. So we'll talk about the body here and then we'll call it a day. So the Khet, the physical body or physical form, had to exist from the spirit or the soul, to have intelligence or the chance to be judged by the guardians of the underworld. Therefore, it was necessary for the body to be preserved as efficiently and completely as possible, and for the burial chamber to be as personalized as it could be, with paintings and structures showing scenes and triumphs from the deceased's life. In the Old Kingdom, only the pharaoh was granted mummification, and thus a chance at an eternal and fulfilling afterlife. But the Middle Kingdom, all dead were afforded the opportunity. Hero, an ancient Greek scholar, observed that grieving families were given a choice as to the type or of the quality of the mummification. The best and most expensive kind is said to represent Osiris. The next best is somewhat inferior and cheaper, while the third is cheapest of all. Because the state of the body was tied so closely with the quality of the afterlife, by the time of the Middle Kingdom, not only were the burial chambers painted with depictions of favorite pastimes and great accomplishments of the dead, but there were also small figurines of servants, slaves, and guards, in some cases beloved pets included in the tombs to serve the deceased in the afterlife. Before a person could be judged by the gods, they had to be awakened through a series of rites designed to reanimate their mummified remains in the afterlife. The main ceremony, the opening of the mouth ceremony, is best depicted within Pharaoh Seti's tomb. All along the walls and statues inside the tomb are reliefs and paintings of priests performing the sacred rituals, and below the painting images, the text of the liturgy for opening of the mouth can be found. This ritual, which presumably would have been performed during interment, was meant to reanimate each section of the body, brain, head, limbs, etc., so that the spiritual body would be able to move in the afterlife, which is definitely quite interesting. And as a whole, you know, what would happen if every time someone passed away, if we took that next initiation with the physical body, that we did ceremonies that mattered, right? Because when the body dies, as soon as it takes its last breath, that's when the spirit leaves the body, right? And in that instance, a spirit or a soul gets to live out seeing the body that it was in, right? The golem that it was in, as well as being able to experience some of that life before it moves on. And that's where it gets to be interesting, because how long does that spirit uh, maintain itself there? Does it maintain itself days, weeks, until the last morning or the last of the grieving moment with people in this physical reality? You know, what does that look like, right? And then afterwards, then you go to the rite of passage. You go to the gatekeepers, and that's where you are initiated. But in turn, and this is what people don't really think about, in turn, when you're at the place of judgment, you also remember what part that you play or what role you play. As long as you don't get caught up in this physical reality that's temporary, you're going to remember who and what you are in the afterlife as well. So I just kind of want to share that because a lot of these key words, like the Khet, is in the Bible. And we're going to kind of explore into that as you look at each one. So until next time, love yourself, keep shining bright, and this is the next level.